My name is Mark Cavaliere. I am the CEO of the Guiding Star Southwest Birth and Wellness Centers located in El Paso, as well as on the other side of the state line in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I'm here to speak to the trauma that abortion pills are inflicting on Texas women and support anything that will help to stem this flow. As you've probably heard, there's an estimated 19,000 abortion pills that are infiltrating Texas just last year alone, being mailed from out of state and handed out across the state line. In El Paso, our nurse practitioner, Daniela Jimenez, sees the fallout. Around 10 women every week come in seeking care from the abortion pills that they've taken, terrified after prolonged bleeding, severe cramping, retaining remains of their child, or just trauma of having done exactly what she was instructed and flushing her child down the toilet. There's one case that haunts me. A young woman nearly 10 weeks pregnant took the pill despite FDA warnings that the efficacy drops after 9 weeks. Initially, she was alone in her bathroom, and she was too scared to call for help. She finally came to us when she thought she was about to die. She arrived at our center dizzy with her vision blurred. Her blood pressure was crashing from excessive blood loss. Our nurse practitioner got her to a hospital, and it saved her life. The abortion pill is not healthcare, and it's not rare. It's a pattern of reckless distribution with no oversight. There's no checks, as you've heard, for ectopic pregnancy, in which case the abortion pill can be fatal for a woman. No checks for retained tissue afterwards. No checks for the Rh blood factor, which could subject some women to chronic miscarriages for subsequent pregnancies, which was another case that happened in El Paso. Worse still, New Mexico providers that are just minutes away from our doorstep give Texas women the first pill there in their office, but then give her the second set of pills, misoprostol, to take home on planes back to Houston and Lubbock, Corpus Christi, Midland, Odessa, San Antonio, Austin, and Tyler. We see women from these cities every day, and they're going back to complete their abortion alone in their bathrooms, hundreds of miles from the doctor and the $700 that got her the pill, who, by the way, is an El Paso physician who's now using a satellite clinic that's just 1.5 miles over the state line in New Mexico, right next door to a marijuana shop. And he is on video saying that he instructs Texas women that if they have to go to the ER, to lie and to say they're just having a natural miscarriage, which leads to a completely different care plan, as well as inaccurate abortion pill data and women who falsely believe that they could be punished. Our mobile medical unit, which is led by Jessica Sifuentes, meets 2 to 5 women every week who are regretful after taking that first dose out of fear. And they're suddenly desperate and hopeful to learn about the abortion pill reversal that we offer. But these women are not statistics. They are daughters and sisters and mothers cornered by an ideology that peddles this as healthcare. But the definition of healthcare is supporting and nurturing the body. This does the opposite. It alters, suppresses, and destroys the normal, healthy functions of a woman's natural body. I want to tell you about Amila, a Texas resident who endured a botched chemical abortion in New Mexico, and then went back when it was still retained, and then had a botched surgical abortion. Back home in Texas, she was in agony. She passed her baby in the toilet. Terrified, she took the remains back to the abortion clinic, cradling them in a plastic bag, seeking answers, and then begging for the baby's return after they were examined. But when the facility refused to return the evidence of their malpractice, she got emotional. And the abortion facility called the police for her disturbing the peace. We actually have a video of her being dragged out of the abortion facility in handcuffs, still bleeding and shouting, "They stole my baby. I'm in so much pain, and they won't give me any answers." This is the only time I have ever known of a woman for being arrested for an abortion, and it was the abortionist that was pressing charges, while we were the ones that got her released from jail, treated at the hospital for infection, and connected to free legal representation. Currently, we're now providing care kits. CARE stands for Chemical Abortion Recovery and Evaluation Kits. Just in the last few weeks, to both figuratively and literally pick up the pieces in the wake of the abortion pill crisis. For women who've already taken the first pill and are not interested in the abortion pill reversal, at the very least, these kits offer medical guidance and health monitoring and the supplies to collect the baby and have a chance to honor the child's remains. This, however, is just a small bandage on a gaping wound, at least showing some more compassion than the abortion industry ever will. But bandages are not enough, and I support any efforts to help stem this flow of trauma. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Jessica Sifuentes, and I am the president of the Southwest Coalition, and I am also the director of the Guiding Star Birth and Wellness Center. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I flew in last night, midnight, because this is so important to us to be able to speak on what we are seeing. And I thank you, Senator Paxton, because you talked about trauma and how this is affecting women. I'm very fortunate to be able to work on the sidewalk with women that are going into the abortion clinic in our neighboring city of Santa Teresa, New Mexico. But
on the
a lot of
Webcast.
these women that are coming into the abortion center are Texas women. So we also service our women at the Guiding Star facility. There we are dealing with young women who are coming to us after they've taken the abortion pill. These women are buying their abortion pills online. I do want to share with you some of the stories of these women that have, very bravely shared their stories with us when they come into for services. So here is one of our most heart-wrenching stories. So one of these moms bought her pills online, and she was terrified of being pregnant and even more of having an abortion and knowing that she was going to be taking care of that abortion at home and alone. But feeling that she had no choice, she took the pills and her labor began. She recalls the moment that she felt her baby leave her body. She heard a thunk in the water and the water in the toilet, and they had told her that it would just be a clump of blood cells, clots. She looked into the toilet and she saw the baby still in its sack. Falling to the ground, bleeding heavily on the floor, sticking her hands into the toilet, trying to pull the baby's remains out as they slipped through her hands. She was never told of this. She was not told of what she would see or how she would even be able to react to this. There was no medical oversight, no follow-up, just a simple transaction. Pay this much and you get your pills. Another woman also bought her pills online. And just after taking the first dose, she immediately regretted her decision, and she contacted us for the abortion pill reversal. Upon coming in, we did the following protocol, started the ultrasound, and our sonographer spotted the ectopic pregnancy and immediately contacted our OBGYN, and she was referred to a specialist because there was enough time, and we were told that had she waited one more day, she would have lost her fallopian tube. She told us how grateful she was because she had no idea how dangerous this was and that she possibly could have lost her life. Again, no medical care was given to her from she contacted the providers of the abortion pill. They basically told her that she needed to go seek emergency care, and they were no longer responsible for her. And again, this is not medical care. This is reckless abandonment. And perhaps one of the most breaking stories is the 15 and 16-year-old kids that I counseled. They ordered their pills online. The young man told me it was the website with the best prices. They were told that it would be mild cramping and that everything would go back to normal. I remember the young man telling me he panicked. He had no idea why she was bleeding as heavily as she was. She was on the ground, cramping, screaming. He was terrified to tell his parents. She was begging him not to say anything because she knew that her parents would be beyond devastated with her. And he had no idea who to call. He had no idea who to turn to. He found the courage and spoke to his dad. They took her to the hospital. She was 11 weeks. This is why there was such heavy bleeding. There was no requirement. She did not need to inform the website of how far along she was. It was a very simple transaction. They sold her the pills. And she had no idea that if she was past 10 weeks, it would have been a much more complicated procedure. By the grace of God, she was able to receive the medical attention she needed, and her life was spared. And the doctors did explain to her that she could have lost her life. She had severe hemorrhaging. And again, no one warned them of the intense bleeding, the labor, the risks, and no one protected these children. These are children from this trauma. And these stories are not rare. This is happening across Texas because the people mailing and selling these pills face no consequences. They are acting as abortionists without ever being in the room, without any medical history, and without caring about what happens next. This bill is about stopping them. It's about protecting women from being abandoned in their most vulnerable moments. And it's about protecting babies from a death that is brutal and is hidden. Without accountability, this business model will continue to prey on our daughters, our sisters, and our neighbors. And with accountability, we can send a clear message. Texas will not tolerate the exploitation of women and the killing of preborn children. I urge you, pass Senate Bill 6. Let's protect both women and babies from this cruelty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, good evening, everyone, and I want to welcome you to the From Vision to Victory webcast. We are celebrating the past 10 years of vision and victories and starting a new chapter of an even bigger vision and greater victories in the next 10 years to come, all for the glory of God. Tonight is not just another update, and it's not even just another one of our famous big announcements. It is, in fact, our biggest announcement yet.com. What you're about to experience is a defining moment for our mission, for our movement, and I believe can impact the future of life in America. 10 years ago, we started off as just a group of people standing on the sidewalks of Las Cruces, New Mexico, praying that God would do something greater than we could ever imagine, and he did. Since then, through your prayers, your perseverance, and your faithfulness, we have watched him move mountains. The closure of abortion centers, the rise and establishment of authentic, life-affirming women's health care, and the birth of a regional movement that has refused to back down. But tonight we turn a page, because what's happening right now here in the borderland has the potential to echo across the nation. We're going to pull back the curtains on some of the most urgent developments of our time. That includes the fight to stop that $10 million tax-funded abortion and transgender mega center in Las Cruces, and how your grassroots courage is making a real and measurable impact. The chemical abortion crisis that's flooding across our borders and state lines, and how there are new innovative strategies rising to confront this crisis. We're going to take a first look at our 10-year anniversary gala upcoming in December and see who will be taking the stage. And I will share with you what just recently one supporter learned to literally 10x his pledge, from a $10,000 pledge to a $100,000 pledge, as part of a record-breaking opportunity to make life the #1 charitable cause in the borderland. And we are going to have a huge and historic national collaboration that will be announced that could help to shape the future of the pro-life movement forever. You'll hear from incredible leaders from New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and beyond, as we unveil something that has been months and really even years in the making. But before we dive into everything tonight, I want to remind us of something simple and profound. We are not here by accident. We are here by divine appointment. Every victory that we've seen has been built on a foundation of prayer. Every breakthrough that we've experienced was born from faith. And every next step we take must begin the same way, with hearts that are surrendered to God, trusting that the author of life will lead us from the next vision to the next victory. So before we begin, I just ask you all to join me right now, or wherever you are, as we invite his presence into this moment. We pray in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord God, I just thank you for every person who has led us to this moment tonight over these past 10 years. Every prayer volunteer, every sidewalk advocate, every volunteer, every staff member, board member, all the doctors, and so many people who have helped to make this possible. I thank you for all of those who have come before us and upon whose shoulders we stand tonight. And every person that has invested their time, their talents, and their treasures into this mission to lead us here tonight. We pray for every woman who feels that she has no choice but to alter, suppress, or destroy the beautiful, normal, healthy superpowers of her natural body. We pray for every child that is in danger from this culture of death, for abortion workers and leaders, for the conversions of hearts and minds across our cities, our states, our nation, and around the world. We ask you to bless this time and technology tonight. I ask you to bless all of our speakers, our viewers, and myself as we surrender ourselves to you and to your will on earth as it is in heaven. We ask this through the precious blood of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Father, and Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, friends. Well, let's get ready. What you're about to hear tonight, I believe, will renew your hope, rekindle your courage, and remind you that we are not just part of a movement. We are part of a mission, one that will not stop until every mother is supported and every child is cherished and every life is protected. And with that, I'd like to bring our very first guest. We have Ashley Leenerts, with the legislative director with the Texas Right to Life. And Ashley, I thank you so much for joining us. You've got some updates on this kind of groundbreaking Women and Child Protection Act. And for those who may have tuned in during those early 10-minute countdown that got to hear our expert testimonies in support of this bill, I want to thank you, Ashley, for having invited us to share those stories from the borderland, and for all your work to help pass this groundbreaking bill. But can you just briefly explain how critical this new law is?
Yes, thank you so much, Mark, for putting this together, and I hope my internet connection is well. But it has been quite the year, and y'all were amazing coming all the way from El Paso to Austin to help us. So just a little background perspective on what happened with the Women's Child Protection Act. So every other year, the Texas legislature meets for about 5 months typically. This year it ended up being for about 9 months because we had 2 special sessions. And during the typical session, we'll see something like 8,000 bills filed and only 1,000 or so bills passed. So it's a huge competition to actually get an actual bill passed, to keep legislature focused. They want to pass something pro-life. Thankfully, we have the trifecta. The House, the Senate, and the governor are all Republicans, and they're all supposed to be pro-life. But we need to make sure that they have a high standard of what they pass. We don't want them to pass, like there was a measure passed this past session that puts a pro-life monument at the Texas Capitol grounds. And that's fine. But if we don't give them a high standard, that would be sufficient. And so we need to make sure that they understand we want to actually save lives. And Texas right to bills, we don't call those priorities if they don't actually save lives. And so what we saw after the fall of Roe v. Wade is abortion pills became the abortion industry's new tactic. Previously, they were committing abortions at brick and mortar facilities, and then they switched tactics to mail these abortion pills into Texas and make it very difficult for us to actually stop them and enforce our laws. And so we have some brilliant pro-life attorney friends we work with, and they draft this measure that uses similar lawsuits to that of fraud to help us overcome out-of-state barriers, like in Colorado, New Mexico, nailing these abortion pills into Texas, but making it difficult for our attorney general to use the current pro-life laws to stop them. So this was a crucial bill. It was our top priority for session, and we invited pro-life friends like y'all, Mark, to come testify. Pregnancy centers from across the state joined us. We had pro-life friends from across the state. Unfortunately, the bill didn't make it, went during the regular session. We had a coalition letter that we wrote to the governor to ask to be on the special session. And this was thankfully accomplished. And we had strong pro-life leaders, Representative Leach and Senator Hughes, who are great advocates of the Capitol. And we were estimating 19,000 abortion pills is the low number were being mailed into the state every year. And we are now, once the bill takes effect in December 4th, we'll have new tools on the table. It doesn't mean it's a silver bullet. The abortion industry, until the Lord returns, will keep fighting. But our goal is to have a nation that we look on abortion with the same disdain that we do slavery. And so pregnancy centers are the hands and feet out there. And y'all shared just heart-wrenching testimony of women who take these pills, that they're delivering these babies alone without any oversight, any medical oversight. The abortion industry just shows how little they care for women. We had the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Thankfully, it was perfect timing this spring, come out with a review of 800,000 insurance claims, and they discovered 1 in 10 women who take abortion pills have severe medical complications. And that means hemorrhage, sepsis, even death. And the only thing the FDA requires to be reported regarding abortion pills is death. And so the goal is to get the federal government to enforce Comstock Act. So if you go to Texas Right to Life, you can look up more on that. But to say it's illegal to mail abortion pills in the United States, technically it already is illegal to do that in the United States, and the federal government could help us. But this was a great first step in dealing with abortion pills in Texas, and very grateful for y'all's partnership and coming and sharing what that truly looks like for women taking these drugs at home, and then being able to go to pregnancy resource centers and get the abortion reversal pill or connection to resources, or even if she has had that abortion, to have post-abortion counseling and hope for future pregnancies and babies, and just to know she's not standing alone.
That's amazing. Ashley, thank you so much for joining. I know it's there's a lot going on this evening, but just all the work that you and Texas Right to Light Doves, we're really, really grateful for you. And so Ashley just shared a little bit more about this kind of abortion pill crisis that we're facing and what's happening on the Texas state line. And that's one of the things that's, the Southwest Coalition has just kind of been positioned, I think providentially to respond to, is because we're in between really two of the most extreme states as far as, Texas protecting life and New Mexico where abortion is still allowed up to the moment of delivery for any reason. So one of the things that we're doing on the New Mexico side was referenced in those videos earlier, but is something that is kind of getting a lot of national attention from pro-life groups all over the country. And it was thought of by our president, Jessica Sifuentes. And so I would like her to explain a little bit more about this. Yes, so tell us about care kits and how you were inspired to even come up with such an idea.
Well, I think we were definitely frustrated for the last year and a half. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe the last year, we were not able to communicate with women since the changing of the heartbeat bill and then the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The women are more desperate than ever, and there is no way to get them to stop and talk to us outside of the abortion clinic.
And so I know, in our Guiding Star Center, we already had a miscarriage kit to help moms who are experiencing a natural miscarriage to kind of prepare them for what's about to happen, and mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, to catch their, give them the kit with the tools to catch their baby, treat it with dignity. So exactly what is a care kit? What's it stand for, and how's it used differently?
Definitely differently in the sense that the name care really does signify what it's for. It is the chemical abortion recovery and evaluation. And basically, it's the opportunity for a woman to have a clearer understanding of what a chemical abortion is, because they're not being told that when they're entering into the abortion clinic and getting their pills. So yeah, the care is the chemical abortion recovery and evaluation that we're offering them outside of the abortion clinic. That has never been done before.
And so, and again, so this is being given to women. They've already taken that first abortion pill. So they've already started this process. What is the abortion clinic kind of telling them when they take the pill to prepare them, if at all?
Basically, they tell them that they're going to go ahead and take the second set of pills. So the first one they must take before they come out of the abortion clinic. The second one is the set of pills that they are to take. And then as soon as the mild cramping begins, they're told to sit on the toilet, and then they're just going to pass some blood clots with some mild cramping. And when that happens, then they can just go ahead and flush and make sure that they wear, heavy, the ultra absorbent pads, because they'll have some bleeding. And that's pretty much the base, the gist of what the information that they're given.
So, so you had this idea in prayer to like offer these miscarriage kits, but in the context of someone who they've already started the abortion pill, thousands of babies are getting flushed down the toilet. So, let's at least help to, recover those babies, increase the odds they're going to get buried, and then evaluate her health. So we kind of came up with realizing that these care kits actually help do these 7 things. They help to restore, is the acronym. And the first one of those is to reach more women. How does that work?
Well, because it meets women where they're at. And it's opening up conversations that, like I said, we have not had the opportunity to have in the last year. And then the second one is expose. So it really does reveal the reality of what the abortion process is. Many of the women that are going in truly have no idea of what they're going to see, because they're not told. That's never discussed. Here we go. And on this kit here, that's the contents of what's inside of the kit. And you can see it's all medical pieces that we've got. The catch pan, which actually serves to catch the baby inside of the toilet, so it doesn't go into the toilet water. And then you've got the sieve, which is the little colander, and that's where the mom is able to take the baby, the contents, and rinse out the baby. And then that little container, that is the medical container, where they're able to put the remains of the baby. And that would be for the where we're offering dignity. But let me come back to the S, is the save. So that one is, it offers the abortion pill reversal. And that's the most important one, Mark, because what we did notice is that because the women are going in without information, when they come out of the abortion clinic, they really don't understand. They don't even know that if at any point they change their mind within the first 72 hours, there is APR, abortion pill reversal. So we really highlight that. We even have that in our acknowledgement form that we are going over with the mom, making sure that she understands that she has the opportunity to reverse the effects of the first pill.
And then real quick, I just want to highlight that too on the expose. This is the option to say, if you're going through this process, you need to know, what you're going to see, what to identify to make sure that the process is complete so you don't get an infection. So you have to know to identify the placenta, clots versus the remains of your child. And so by even putting these pictures in her hand and like preparing her for what's about to happen, suddenly makes that real. And suddenly, when you start talking about APR, that we can reverse this process by giving you progesterone. Has that actually made a difference in, women being more open to considering that APR abortion pill reversal?
We have definitely seen women that have, after a very lengthy conversation with them, they're thinking much more about the decision that they've made. And as it is, they went in apprehensive. They weren't 100% sure they wanted to do this. But when we put that level of information in their hands and they see just, to what extent the abortion actually is, we have had women that have reached out and called and said, I'm going to go ahead and reverse this. I don't want to go through with my abortion. So it is, life-saving for those women. And it also does really give them an idea of what they're going to see. And I think
Sure.
that's the biggest game changer we've seen is in those conversations.
So the next one we say is to track. And why is that important even for, tracking her own health and well-being in this process?
Again, they don't get a whole lot of information. So in that catch pan, there's actually lines that measure the amount of fluid that, is being caught in that catch pan. So at the end of the booklet, we do have a chart that actually tracks just how many mLs they're bleeding. And we have, support from our medical providers like Dr. Monique Ribeiro, who've looked at this and said, medically speaking, when they pass X amount, too much blood, that if they're soaking more than 2 pads in 1 hour, that is excessive bleeding, and that's when they need to get themselves to the hospital. This information is never given to them, so they're basically just kind of doing it blindly, and they don't know. So this is giving them the opportunity to have more control over their own health.
Sure. And then offering dignity, we mentioned recovering the baby. But then once she's recovered the baby, what options are we able to then follow up to make sure we're giving that baby the most dignity possible given the circumstances?
Well, I mean, for the very first time, if you can imagine, we're actually offering the women the opportunity to have a burial service. And working with our bishops, both in El Paso and Las Cruces, it gives us an opportunity to extend those services to these women, which help them to recognize that it is a child and that they're going to be able to go and actually grieve this child. There's a place with dignity that they can go and visit this child. And our hope is that not only will it allow them to connect to the loss of that child, but that it would open their eyes and that they would find themselves making, to have a second abortion would be unthinkable because of what they've experienced in their first abortion. So it's not just hoping to save that life, but future lives of their children.
Right. And that's a really great point because, if she humanizes this baby and realizes, like, oh, I don't want to make this mistake again, because there are so many repeat abortions without that. And in that same strain too, we want to reconnect her to care even after the abortion. And how is that so important for women who've been through an abortion?
Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many women we've met that come up to us on the sidewalk. And these are women that have had abortions many, many years ago. They never sought the care that they needed. They continued to suffer through that trauma for many, many years. And now when we've shared with women that have come up to us and just ask, what is it that we're doing? We tell them that we have an opportunity for women to come in and take part in our post-abortive recovery program. And what we've noticed is that they need to find a place where they can meet with other women that are also suffering in that same silence, and to be able to journey in this recovery process together is absolutely the most healing and medicinal treatment that they can give themselves.
Sure. And then the last one I always like to highlight is, we want to empower her with her legal support, her knowledge that, if you were treated with, medical malpractice or patient abandonment or lack of informed consent, that, this was really a reproductive injustice, and, you should be able to seek legal support in that. And that makes me think of like the question is, are these making an impact? What does the abortion industry feel about this? And you had an encounter on the sidewalk. You might have to censor it a little bit, but where someone from the Pink House relocated to Las Cruces came out and spoke about the care kits, right?
Oh, she was furious that we were out there. We were giving the women the care kits. And basically what she said was,
I need you to stop giving the women these kits that are making them see their babies. What they need to do is just flush them down the, blank, blank, blank toilet where the babies belong, is what she said. And I quote, she said, let them flush their babies down the effing toilet where the babies belong. Unbelievable that she would even use the word babies. But
Sure.
on that injustice, Mark, we talked about that client that we saw that got arrested. Had it not been because she understood why we were there, she would have never trusted us enough to seek that legal counsel. And because of that, as we know, that case is what was the last and final case. I mean, the last surgical abortion that we saw the abortionist in Santa Teresa perform,
Sure.
because she reached out and found that legal support. So it's really
Yeah, and that's so important. And even right now, with a lot of the laws that are going on, we need to find those cases that can be litigated. And I mean, we actually have given podcasts that could be almost an hour on this topic. But a couple last points I want to we've been very diligent. One of the first things when you prayed about this and brought the idea to me, I thought, my gosh, this is genius. This is innovative. This is like. And it made so much sense to me to meet women where they're at if they've already started this process, so that that they know that there's a place that cares about them. But we did seek that spiritual guidance, and a very traditional priest who said that even if we didn't open those doors to talk about abortion pill reversal and saving lives, just the corporal work of mercy of burying the dead. If that's all that's accomplished is helping these babies get in the ground versus getting flushed. And then we have talked to the National Catholic Bioethics Center, and they have been, approving and greenlighting this whole process. And one of I'll never forget when we first kind of shared it with them, the bioethicist there said, as critical as ultrasounds were for the first 50 years of the pro-life movement, in this post-Dobbs abortion pill crisis, they really had yet to see anything that could move the needle to respond to that. And they said they think that this idea that you were inspired with could be it. And so thank you, Jessica. And we do need to move on with the rest of our segment. But, this has been getting a lot of attention from different organizations. And really, just to briefly come in and comment on that, I would like to bring in a friend of mine, Kristan Hawkins, with Students for Life of America. Kristan, thank you so much for joining. We just saw you. I just bumped into you last week at the at your national stakeholders meeting. And you heard about these care kits, and you had some interesting thoughts. I just love for you to be able to share some of that.
Yeah, I loved learning about the care kit because, as you know, right there on the sidewalk, this is a major issue for us as political kids. We also have this issue on college campuses because this is where abortions are happening. Abortions are now happening in dorm rooms across the country. And so I was just blown away by the innovation that you all are showing. And I want to get this care kit on every college campus and have Students for Life groups, along with our Standing With You initiative, taking these kits and giving them to girls after they've consumed these pills and maybe even before, because I think just seeing the kit and the complexity of what's going to happen to her, I think it's going to change her mind.
Yeah. No, I can say, when I first ran this by my wife, having been through 2 natural miscarriages, that's the first thing she said. She's like, as soon as you put these collection pans and you're talking about blood loss measurement charts and, how to identify the placenta versus the baby, she's like, that's going to suddenly make this real for them.
That's absolutely right. And I think that's the problem that we're seeing on college campuses is that she's being told it's just like a pill and like the baby's just going to dissolve. And it's just going to be like a blood loss at any other menstrual cycle. And she has no idea. And so what we're seeing on campuses are these girls who are devastated because they've seen their baby in a turbo. And I pray that if we can get these kits to the girls, even before our Students for Life groups are able to show girls these kits and everything they're going to have to do, it's going to change their mind because they're going to learn really early on that this isn't as simple as Planned Parenthood and the abortion lobby are making it out to be. I think this could be a game changer for our witness in the pro-life movement because as you and I both know this, when we were talking about our Dimitri Institute stakeholders about last week, this is the leading cause of infant death in our country. This is a new frontier of the abortion industry. And so far, I think the pro-life movement has been behind in responding to the crisis of chemical abortion. And it's so amazing to see how what you all are doing has really been on the front lines there.
Thank you for your kind words, and again, all credit to Jessica and her prayer for really pioneering this and championing this as a method to reach out and just the response we've seen from so many other organizations saying yes, like we need a way to connect with women to be able to help them in this time, especially in light of what we've just learned from the FDA. Just approving now a generic abortion pill. I was hoping that these care kits would become less necessary, but possibly more necessary now.
Absolutely. I mean, this reckless decision by the FDA, and then really just this cowardness of like, well, Kristan's been out for 10 years. Now it's time for it to go generic, which is total BS. This pill's been out for 25 years, thanks to the reckless Clinton FDA. They did not have to do this. And this just shows you the pro-abortion deep state we still have within our government, at our FDA. And it's really just a stain of the entire Trump administration, all the good that the Trump administration has been doing to save and promote human life. And so now is the time for us it's not time to get quiet. It's the time for us to get loud, whether it's in the sidewalks or if it's on the campuses or if it's in the halls of Congress, and even at the White House, because we've got to continue to educate Americans about the gruesome, violent nature of these chemical abortions, how they're not only killing children, but they're maiming women, they're eating sex abusers, and as what our research has found, are potentially polluting our environment. I mean, this is something that every American should be opposed. Every American should say, this is gross, this is bad, we're putting humans in our toilet bowls. And why is it that the pro-life ministries are the only ones trying to stop this from happening and treating these children as they are, as human children made in God's image?
Yeah, and I'm just so grateful for Students for Life. You're always, not only thinking innovatively and ahead too, and we talked a little bit about your National Bereaved Parents Rights Act, to help bring more dignity, even in the case of natural miscarriage, that parents have that right to bury their child, and I think that's so important just to help expose the humanity of the children in the womb. So, do you have any last parting words for all of our local supporters in the borderland?
Well, I would say thank you for all that you all are doing right there in El Paso. It's unbelievable, especially in New Mexico. I was there down where you all are last year. And it was unbelievable because as soon as I crossed from El Paso into New Mexico, all of the billboards welcoming to me to the abortion state in New Mexico, it was overwhelming to see it. So what you all are doing is critical, and I want you all to know that it's being noticed across the nation, and you really have become, this group that people are looking up to and looking to get guidance from. So that's incredible, and it's an honor to continue to work with you. Yes, stay tuned for our National Parents Bereavement Act, which will be a law, hopefully a bipartisan law, to really start giving aid to mothers who miscarried and who aren't getting advice. But hopefully we see these care kits getting to college campuses as well, and helping women following an abortion, and hopefully preventing her from even ingesting these abortion pills to begin with.
That's critical. Yeah. I've been saying that for a while. They're trying to conflate the two and say, oh, elective abortion is the same as a natural miscarriage and, miscarriage management and all of that. And so, I believe the pro-life movement needs to lead on dignifying the care that we provide in women, and Students for Life is right there at the helm of it. So, Kristan, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. So yes, this has been a huge update that we've been testing. We've been working with pro-life doctors and nurses and certified nurse midwives to develop, and is continuing to be in conversation with many across the pro-life movement, both locally and nationally as well. And so this is just a small bandage on a gaping wound that we have to do more to continue to solve. As it's kind of it's crazy that that's where our culture's at, that this is kind of the opportunity to meet these women in that case, but we still have to fight and stop this from happening. And one of the biggest threats that we're facing right now, as many of you know, is the looming potential for a $10 million tax-funded abortion facility being built in Las Cruces by the governor of New Mexico with New Mexico tax dollars. but specifically to target Texas women due to the proximity of the state line. And so we started last year our Stop the Center campaign because it's still not too late to stop this by asking the construction companies not to build the building. And so for the past year, you have been sending letters, you've been making phone calls, you've been creating a lot of noise around this issue. And I'm really excited to bring on a couple people to give us some updates on that. First, I'm going to bring on State Senator David Gallegos, an absolute gentleman and good friend of mine. Senator, thank you. I know you had a lot going on this evening, but you always make life your top priority and join these events. Can you share a little bit about what you shared with me about the impact of the Stop the Center campaign?
I will. Thank you, Mark. I'm here in Albuquerque, and I wanted to apologize to Kristan as noticing that we are one of the murder capitals in the world. But it was a couple of weeks back, I got to talk to Jessica on this. I was pretty excited. I do construction. I work for my wife's family, and we're in southeast New Mexico. We're actually out of Hobbs, and we had 3 different major contractors call us that wanted to see if we would come to Las Cruces to work. We've got concrete guys, we've got asphalt, we do dirt work, so we do a lot of the preliminary work. But it was a huge blessing to me to see that they're reaching out to us, and it was a definite no for us, but that they're going beyond the local area because they can't find any subcontractors to do any of the work. And it's a miracle. You guys have done a great job, but it's one of those things. I had a gentleman on the, sorry about that, my phone's ringing. He was on the phone with me, and I described him. I've never seen the plans, but I described to him the facility. And one side was going to be doctors, the other one's going to be surgery for the transgender. Not ever being there or seeing it, he was dumbfounded that I understood. And I told him, his name's Eric. I said, Eric, we've been praying against this for years. Ever since the governor did this 2 years ago, we've been praying against this. And you guys cannot go forward with this. And the 3 majors that had called us all backed out. Matter of fact, I looked today. So one of our guys that's an estimator would keep track of it. He passed away a few weeks back. And I got into the system today to the UNM Health Suppliers portal, and we're no longer active. Our company is no longer has access. I'll work on that tomorrow. But it's one of those things. I think that the governor's figuring this out. And I'll tell you, keep the prayers up because she will not stop. After this one, she wants to do one in the Santa Fe Espanola area. She's dedicated to death. And we're the only thing working, your group and the rest of us are like-minded with you, are the only ones working to protect life. And it's a really big uphill. I had a mountain in the background here because it's an uphill battle. But it's just one of those things, just my heart jumped for joy whenever they started calling and asking us, 325 miles away, can you come and work over here? And the answer will continue to be no. I've talked to some of the other subcontractors that we know, because we're going to continue to have those discussions as we see them and give them no value for going to Las Cruces to do any of this work. So you guys have done an incredible job. I would say do not stop, but continue to work. If you know a contractor, you know a laborer, let them know that they have biblical impacts on if they do this job or not. There's a blessing and or a curse, and I would rather they have a blessing and continue to stay away from this facility.
Right. Senator, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You are in the lion's den every day here in the state of New Mexico, but I'm looking forward to continuing to fight with you in the fight for life. Thank you for those really encouraging updates of kind of the impact and ripples effects of this Stop the Center campaign. And on that note, too, I've got one more guest I'd like to now add to the stage, Randy McMillan from Las Cruces. Randy, thank you for joining us. I know you've got a lot going on with family this evening, but I know that this is a important mission for you as well. And when we touched base a couple of weeks ago, you had some pretty encouraging news as well that I'm looking forward to as much as you're able to share.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. My grandson's football game just got over, and so the timing was perfect. Yeah, I'll just share you a little bit of what happened this last time that the bids went out. We, of course, made as many calls as we could to the contractors in the community, and the bid came out. I heard a contractor called me and told me about a contractor out of El Paso that was going to bid it, and so we got his phone number, and I called him, and I approached him very nicely. I said, "Listen, just wanted to know if you know what you're bidding on." And he said, "Well, I think so. I think I'm bidding on a hospital or some type of a medical building in Las Cruces for University of New Mexico." And I said, "Well, did you know it's a late-term abortion clinic? Will they be doing abortions up until the 9th month?" And he said, "I did not know that." And I said, "Well, that is what that job is, and that's what you're bidding." And I said, I don't want you to be blindsided. I don't want to threaten you, but I also don't want you to be blindsided. But we have a group of businessmen in Las Cruces and El Paso, and we are making it clear that that we don't want anybody to participate in this, and that if they do, we're going to make it very public. We're going to make it public around locally. We're going to make it public regionally, and we're going to do everything we can to make it public nationally. And whoever gets this bid people are going to know who's doing it and what you're doing. And he was very nice. He said, "Well, I didn't know what I was bidding." He said, "I can't make those decisions for the company," but he said, "I'll call you back." Called me back in about an hour and said he thanked me for calling, and he said, "I'm so grateful that you told me what this was." He said, "We did not know what it was," and he said, "We are not going to bid it." And I said, "Well, thank you for making that decision." And and then he said, not only am I not going to bid it, but I'm calling all of the subs that I had asked to help me bid it, and I'm telling them not to bid it and what this is." And he said, "I'm very angry they didn't tell me what this was." So anyway, the bid date came and went, and nobody bid this job. And and the way I found out that nobody bid it is the contractor who I called me the day that I guess the date that the bids had to be all in, and he called me and he said, "We did it." And I said, "We did what?" And he said, "We stopped the bid. No one bid on this contract." And so it went from me calling him to it being he's calling me saying we did it. And I thought that was really cool.
That's amazing.
I think they're back out they're trying to find some contractors to do it. They're back out trying, but we've also called all of the cement contractors within 70 miles of the project, and you really can't carry concrete longer than that.
Right.
And they've all told us that they are not going to participate. So if you can't get concrete, you can't build a building unless you put in your own concrete plant right there, which it is possible to do that, but that's really, really hard. And so right now we just got to keep working and keep praying. God has really moved, and hopefully we'll be able to put a stop to this. So.
Amen. Well, thank you, Randy. And some people are jumping in the comments saying, "God bless you for your service and your courage." And I know you kind of dismiss that as, you're just doing what's right. Yeah. But it means a lot that you then share that and encourage people. Even if they did put in a cement plant, anything that we can do to cause a day of delay, increase the cost, especially with public funds, they got to get approval for that kind of stuff. And every day this thing doesn't open is a day that lives are saved. And it's a day that hopefully we can thwart the governor's plan as she's threatened to try, make sure that this abortion center is open before she leaves at the end of 2026. So I would love to mess up that goal for her. So Randy, just God bless you. You are in our prayers, and just thank you. That's the best news we've heard in a while.
Yeah, and I'd like to say one more thing about people have said a couple of times. They've said, "Thank you for your courage." that is not courage. It would be very courageous for me to go against God and not do this. That would be stupid and courageous. I fear God, and so I do this more out of fear than courage. So I just
Sure.
wanted to make that clear.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you, Randy. Thanks for joining. God bless, and we'll touch base soon. So that is, to be honest, a year ago when we heard about this $10 million tax-funded abortion center, being threatened, and we heard about the story from Austin, and I was like, we got to give it a shot. I got to be honest. I was like, it seems like a long shot, but we got to try. We got to try anything until even once it's open, we're going to be there on the sidewalk, so we're going to constantly try to do our best. And so praise be to God that this is working, that your phone calls, your prayers, your letters that you've been mailing are being heard. And this is just absolutely incredible. So keep it up, though. I mean, the governor's still there for over a year, so we still have to continue to make noise. But this is evidence, this is proof that it works. Keep it up. Don't let don't think, well, it's been over a year now, I don't have to make another phone call, I don't have to send another letter. We're going to continue to let you guys know the next actions to take. And this is something, we've been doing this now for 10 years. We've been at this for the Southwest Coalition. We're celebrating now 10 years. And so what I want to do at this point is just kind of give a brief recap of these past 10 years and then lead into a couple more big announcements that are coming up. But, we would be remiss to not recognize that the pro-life community has been strong and vibrant in the borderland region for a very long time. And we are standing on the shoulders of so many that have come before us and heroes. And so one of those critical landmarks, among many, but very relevant to where we're at today, was the founding of House of Hope Pregnancy Help Center by Angie Rosales back in 2002. And then Nydia Correa, who succeeded her in 2010, and who just had such an incredible heart for this work. In 2012, my wife actually first came to me and kind of felt this call into pro-life ministry to start a maternity home. And at the time I was just like, that's a nice idea, honey, and just kind of forgot about it. And then we had a dear friend, Mateo Angarsani, who in Las Cruces, who had this passion for starting a maternity home. And even up until fairly recently, we were going around and looking at properties together. And unfortunately, Mateo lost a battle to cancer and was not able to see it lived out. But I remember kind of his dying wish that we promised to him was that, we're going to get this open for you. And he said, I know it's going to happen. So that was a really important part of this founding. And then it was in 2014 that we had an abortion facility, Whole Woman's Health from Austin, relocate to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And the response from the city of Las Cruces was amazing, and just hundreds of people. And that was the beginning of the Southwest Coalition for Life, what it is today. And even then, we kind of were assessing this problem we were facing, and we had this vision at the time. What would it look like in 10 years if we had something like these ideas called guiding star centers? What would that look like? What would be necessary to get there? What if we had that maternity home that we've kind of envisioned? And so we just kind of had this big, crazy, audacious 10-year goal. And we remembered seeing kind of this sketch up, this markup of this, early schematic for the idea of what a guiding star center might look like, to have not just, material assistance and pregnancy help services, but also education space and a little coffee and delicacy, like a little retail boutique area, and counseling for grief support and for fertility help, and then drop in childcare, but so that moms, could actually get their healthcare needs met and take the classes that are being offered. But then also, the actual in-house birthing suites and medical personnel, so that it's like this one-stop shop kind of pro-life super center, if you will. And we're like, man, if we had something like that in this area, that is an absolute game changer. So not necessarily thinking it was possible, but let's see what happens. So in 2017, we saw God respond in kind. We had our first banquet with David Bereit, who said, I would not be surprised if in very short order we see this abortion facility closed. And 30 days later, in January 1st, we saw this headline that abortion clinic closes doors in Las Cruces. And that was a spark that I remember saying even back then, like, this seems like a spark that can be momentum for the region, for the rest of the nation, to be a beacon of hope coming from the city of the crosses. Later that year, we partnered up with that House of Hope to share in this vision for Guiding Star centers for our region. And we announced at the time Guiding Star El Paso. We then moved our sidewalk outreach program from Las Cruces after that facility closed to begin outreach at the Hilltop facility in El Paso. And then there, the reproductive services abortion facility we saw close too after 41 years having been open. Only a year later, in 2020, we saw Hilltop close itself, which was the third abortion facility to close in a little over 2 years, which was incredible, which is a story that we share to give all praise and glory to God. In 2021, we got our mobile medical bus, which was another part of that kind of 10-year vision that we always thought, like, we would love to see this be brought out to bring the care directly to these women facing this crisis. And we saw with this huge impact that over time, this red line shows the number of induced abortions by El Paso County residents, and the blue line is the pregnancy services being offered at House of Hope, then relaunched as Guiding Star. And once we partnered in 2018, and you saw this outreach launched on the sidewalk, within 2 years, we saw an 80% drop in those reported abortion statistics to the county as 2 more facilities closed. And this was all prior to both the Texas heartbeat law and the Dobbs decision that reversed the overturn of Roe versus Wade. I share this only because this is the power of the unity of this borderland region coming together in prayer and fasting and support for these moms, for these children. And it was because of all of that, that just incredible synergy, that in 2022, we announced this, landmark merger between these 2 nonprofits of, House of Hope, Guiding Star, and Southwest Coalition for Life. And that has continued to gain momentum. God knew what he was doing with the timing, because it was just a few months later that we saw Roe versus Wade overturned. And then we learned that the abortion business at the center of that landmark Supreme Court ruling being undone, when they could no longer operate in Mississippi, they relocated, of course, to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so before they had even announced, we were able to secure the building right next door to him to have yet a second Guiding Star Center, which made lots of headlines. And then if we weren't doing enough, we were like, you know what, we have to do it. We've got to get to this 10-year goal to have this maternity home and to have that full childbirth and postpartum care for moms, to include the in-house childbirth suites. So we began those renovations and started this maternity home. And then last year is when we, had to launch this on top of everything, launch this Stop the Center campaign to respond to this $10 million tax-funded abortion and transgender center that you just heard about. And you just heard those updates, praise be to God, from Senator Gallegos and Randy McMillan on the success that you have had. Last year, too, I just want to highlight, we had, for the first time, participating in El Paso Giving Day, which is for the whole borderland region. We saw so many people come together and make life the #1 cause in the borderland. Not only #1, but by 4 times the amount of the second leading nonprofit out of over 260 nonprofits in the borderland. Over 20% of that, of all the funds that were given to charitable causes, were given to the cause of life through Southwest Coalition for Life. And that really got so many more people aware of this mission, of this work. And then it was later that year that we solidified our lily pad maternity home with its new and current location. And then earlier this year, we partnered with Maternidad La Luz Birth Center, who is currently offering full childbirth support. And just in the last few months, we've had over 60 babies that they've got to deliver in our building. And it is so beautiful to hear those first breaths, those first cries of children. And I'm like, this is it. This is the true opposite of an abortion center, is a birth center, where these babies are being brought into this life in joy and in love. And so we've seen it happen. And then this year too, if you have not yet been in to take a tour, we would love for you to come by and visit our Guiding Star Cafe and Boutique. And so this is now open to the public, serving 7 weeks coffee. You can come buy a cup or buy a bag of beans that supports the mission. And that's available to our moms to get a cup of coffee as she's coming in to take her lactation class, or just to work while the kids play in the child watch area for a little bit, to really have this sanctuary for moms. And all of this has landed where we have this incredible coalition bridging everything from the sidewalk and the activism and the advocacy, church engagement, to from the sidewalk to the mobile ultrasound bus, to the outreach to moms from the sidewalk, to not only pregnancy help and ultrasounds, but then walking with her through her prenatal care, through her childbirth, through her postpartum, all the way up until that little, her daughter is now ready to come back for our Intro to Womanhood classes with her mom when she turns 9 years old. So that is what full spectrum comprehensive care looks like. And then also having that maternity home available for those cases that need the ongoing extra level of support and care. And I always like to show too that we've really identified that there's kind of these 8 phases of women's healthcare throughout their lives, from body awareness of realizing I am a girl, not a boy, to sexual awareness, and then fertility awareness, to being pregnant, and then going through the childbirth, the lactation, motherhood, and menopause. And one thing I always point out is, as a limited pregnancy center initially, and pro-life group, we were really hyper focused on just that 1/3 of the pregnant woman that you see there, and understandably so. The problem with that, though, is that the abortion industry has continued to insert themselves, these ideologies, into the full spectrum of women's health care, with these 3 primary services of abortion, birth control, and which are about altering, suppressing, and destroying the very things that make women unique and beautiful and so powerful. So those are cheap services that bring in a lot of money, right? But what it actually looks like to actually walk alongside women and provide full comprehensive support is so much education, healthcare services, and peer community support being made available to all of these moms, no matter what time of life she's in. And this is just for illustrative purposes only. But this is what full comprehensive women's healthcare looks like. Where we were, starting off as a limited pregnancy help organization, was barely scratching the surface. And now where we're going, where we are currently, and where we're expanding even in the years to come, is to offer this full this full level of support. And so, that being said, I'm really excited to bring on a guest that I'm like, where was God hiding her from my life before this? But just got to meet Nelly earlier this year, and already so much synergy with Choose Life Marketing. You just got to come down and visit and see all this for yourselves. Nelly, what were your thoughts?
Oh my goodness, I've been visiting centers and women's health clinics across the country for many years, and seeing firsthand the incredible work that's being done to serve women. And with God's perfect orchestration, I found myself there at Southwest Coalition in August. And what you have been sharing, I saw it all, and it's beautiful. What I saw deeply moved me. According to the studies, we know that 6 in 10 women who have had abortions say that they would have kept their baby had they had practical support. And so I believe that the Southwest Coalition is meeting those needs. And as you had indicated in your charts, I saw it, and it was just so beautiful, from medical care to before pregnancy, all the way to the wide spectrum of menopause, and in between there's birthing centers, just absolutely amazing. To also housing and education. This is one of the most comprehensive and compassionate networks of care that I have ever seen across the nation. And I was so excited, became incredibly compassionate in serving those women who want to keep their baby, but need the full spectrum of health care. And then also the complexity of her situation. I felt like Southwest Coalition just met those needs. So thank you for inviting me. I would love to show just how Southwest Coalition is changing lives, and my actual experience going through that tour as well.
Thank you. Yes. Nelly, you and your team put together this beautiful video showing off what you saw. So we'll play that now.
Well, welcome to a quick tour of the Southwest Coalition facilities. We have multiple divisions, including the Lily Pad Maternity Home, which is not too far away from our main headquarters and Guiding Star Center here. Las Cruces branch. our mobile ultrasound bus, but our flagship is really our Guiding Star Women's Health and Medical Center. We have this kind of boho chic theme.
And what we want is to create an experience for our clients that is beyond that of any doctor's office that they visit.
Guiding Star Centers focus on holistic women's health care. We spell holistic with a W, meaning whole person care, but not just treating you as a body, but as a person with a mind and a soul as well. One of our favorite rooms is, of course, the ultrasound room. We've expanded our ultrasound room here, especially if there's a family. Older siblings can come and get to meet their new little baby on the big screen. One of the things that we added is here is an in-house lab. And this is huge because now we're able to do this all in-house. And then we have our just general medical exam rooms for our nurse practitioners and certified nurse midwives. Everything from your annual exams and prenatal care, general wellness visits as well.
We want her to feel that this is a spa-like feel, so much so that we've actually customized these robes that have our logos. And this way she's being pampered and she's being taken care of.
So here is a chapel that we have available not only for staff prayer. This is really important, especially in cases of fertility struggles, miscarriage, even after abortion care. We have a lactation room where we have certified lactation consultants, and that's huge for moms because moms will identify as being able to successfully have another child. Oftentimes it's dependent on how successful they felt being able to nourish their first child.
Depending on what stage they're in their pregnancy, they come in and they take that class. We have the virtual class and we also have the class in person.
Every Guiding Star Center is actually required to have a child watch room. A lot of times, especially single moms, they're feeling overwhelmed. A lot of moms can't even get their own basic healthcare needs met because they don't have someone to watch the other kids.
So if mom is sitting over there, she doesn't have to be too nervous that baby's too far away from her. And our goal is to be able to create that safe place where mom can come in, get her medical exams, and she knows that her baby or her children are being well taken care of and they're only feet away from her. One of the things that I'm super excited about is our boutique. So we're creating that one-stop shop for her. She can come in and see her doctor, come upstairs, purchase what she needs to, and then also there's baby items.
We're really excited that this year we've even opened our Guiding Star Cafe. And this is available and open to the community that you can just come in and you can buy a cup of coffee. I often have told people that if we're asking women not to have an abortion, we are asking her to have a childbirth. So we need to actually walk with her through all the prenatal care, childbirth experience, and postpartum time. Then we also have some dedicated exam rooms. This is just for the women as they're coming in, getting closer to their childbirth to make sure that they have full medical support.
This is another one of our suites. As you can see again, we have the beautiful wall art. We have the space on both sides. So dad, family members, doulas, and the midwives are all able to surround her and encourage her.
This one has two suites which share this kind of Jack and Jill tub room, which can be locked off to one or the other since not all women need the water birth experience, but making sure that they have that option.
Let me introduce you to our medical mobile unit, Joseph Thomas. Behind me, you'll see the restroom that has a private door. We have our ultrasound bed, our ultrasound machine. Once mom gets her medical grade pregnancy test, we're able to proceed with the ultrasound. We want to make sure that we're always able to offer mom the best and highest quality ultrasounds. Welcome to Guiding Star in the beautiful city of Las Cruces. Over here, you'll see our beautiful waiting room. And here in our counseling room, they have their one-on-one consults with our lactation consultants. And we have these tools here that we use to encourage mom. Many times she just needs that extra help. So here is our exam room, where we are able to offer our young moms the well women exams, sick visits, prenatal care, and also the opportunity to continue to educate mom and empower her. Here in the ultrasound room, we have the opportunity to show mom what we're able to see on the screen, to give mom that peace of mind, knowing that her child is only a couple of doors down, really does make her feel that she can continue to come and get her the care that she needs. And if you follow me this way, we have our classroom. And while this room looks like it's a small space, we are doing huge things. We have our Intro to Womanhood, our lactation classes. We also have our natural fertility classes and many more.
And finally, we just have our administrative headquarters for the larger Southwest Coalition for Life. So this includes administrative and executive offices, marketing, finance. We have this large box truck. This allows us to go around to different churches and community centers and bring lots and lots of diapers and mom supplies. Well, it's an excellent way that we're able to spread the word about the support that you're making possible.
All right, so here we are 10 years later, and all of those crazy ideas and visions that we had so long ago have all been woven into reality. And so I am very excited. All of that would not be possible if it was not for the generous support of this community, especially through our end of year galas that are coming up. And I know everybody's always asking, who are we going to bring in for our gala? This year is a very special year for multiple reasons. One is that it is our 10-year anniversary gala, marking this huge milestone. And throughout the years, we've had a dear friend of ours who has continued to reach out to us and say, this is amazing. We did bring her in last year briefly for one small event, but after hearing her speak, I was like, we got to bring her in for her whole audience. So you already have seen a little bit of her in the past, but we are going to bring her in for some pretty special things. But Mayra Rodriguez, Mayra, you have been in, and you came in last year. You got to see this whole facility. I'm not going to let you share too much of your story because people got to come to the gala to hear it. But what were your thoughts when you came to visit?
Wow, you blew my mind, because it is something that you nailed it. In order for us to beat the abortion industry, we have to do the opposite, right? And I have traveled globally, and everyone's dream is to be able to have one spot shop for all the moms. And you nailed it. I mean, you guys in El Paso and Las Cruces, but what amazes me the most is that that brotherhood, sisterhood, like that union you have between, that nothing divides, like a state line is not dividing that between El Paso and Las Cruces. That's impressive.
That's huge. And we've been really blessed with that. There's 2 states, there's 2 dioceses, but, we've seen the people, and that's important. We see the abortion industry work, very well across state lines. So, at the very least, the church should be able to work together. So, but you've been a part of that too. You're, not too far away in Arizona. So, this hits pretty close to home for you.
It is, like, who would have known that it's only 5.5 hours away from where I live, right? That's pretty close. The dream will be that hopefully the pro-life movement can unite like that, that a line will not divide the unity of that sisterhood that means to do well, not harm. And people need to come and listen to my story, why it's so important to me.
Right. Well, can you just give like a 30-second version, or the 30-second tease of what they're going to hear, and then, why of everywhere that you visited, you're really invested in what's going on locally?
Well, after 17 years of working for the other side, meaning promoting abortions and being so dedicated to the reproductive right, now to be able to see what you guys are doing, to see what you develop, just to be a small part of that project. It's quite an honor for me. So I hope that people come and hear what more we have to say. And I think they're going to be very excited. I think that what they're going to see in December in the galas, it's something amazing.
It is exciting. And we won't give anything away. Some of these big announcements that are coming in. Let me just ask, you've spoken at lots of events over the years all around the world. Have you ever known of an announcement quite like what's coming in December?
No, I think people are going to be pretty shocked.
I think so too. Okay, well, we're going to stop there because I'm tempted to say more. Mayra, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm so excited for people to come back and hear your story, which has developed a lot since last year. So
see you in Las Cruces.
Oh, yeah. So much more going on here, too. So, Mayra, God bless you. Thank you. And we will see you soon in December. I'm so excited for people to, more people to hear your story. But we also are going to have a second person come as well. And this means a lot to me personally. None of this would have been possible where we started, where we're at today. And I even go back to our very first banquet in Las Cruces at that little bingo hall with a dirt parking lot and plastic plates and plastic forks. And I reached out in desperation, like, we can't really afford you, but could you please come? And David Bereit, who's continued to be a dear friend and mentor over the last 10 years, you were there for our very first kickoff event. And so I'm so excited that for this special 10-year milestone, you will be back. You've popped in here and out, here and there throughout the years. But what are your thoughts, David?
Well, to rewind the clock, when I started 40 Days for Life, I had no idea the caliber of leaders that I would meet all across America and around the world. And I've worked with many hundreds of people running 40 Days for Life campaigns. But when I first connected with you, Mark, I was really impressed that it was kind of the creme de la creme. I saw in you great leadership skills, potential, and then also I saw the passion that you were able to unleash on those in Las Cruces and the greater Borderland region. And so when during that season, when you reached out to me and said, hey, would you come out here for this first gala? And you told me that you were moving beyond just a one-time 40 Days for Life campaign into what would become a year-round effort, what is today the Southwest Coalition. I was so excited. I said I wouldn't miss this for anything, even though there were some major developments that were going on in my life at that time. Mm-hmm. So when I came there, and I'll never forget that event, and getting to be with people and hearing their excitement and hearing their passion and watching you and your leadership role, I remember saying at the event that I really believed it was just a matter of time before that Las Cruces Abortion Center would close its doors. Even I was stunned how fast that happened when it did close its doors. And then as you began to take this organization, the Southwest Coalition, and begin to expand it regionally and realizing that this could have an impact all over the Borderland region in the El Paso area and other parts of New Mexico. So that was a very special time. And even knowing that that's crazy, it's 10 years ago, but that was also at a time that I was in the midst, and I actually confided in Mark as we were heading back to the hotel and he was dropping me off and I was getting ready to head back home. And I shared with Mark, hey, this is not yet public, but in a few days, it's going to be announced I'm stepping down from my role as the founder of 40 Days for Life, because I feel like God's kind of prepared me for a next season. And I remember we kind of prayed through that together, talked through that, and a few days later that was announced publicly. And over these years, Mark, as I've watched you, and also through you, the team you developed, the board of directors, the impact that y'all have had there in the Borderland region, it has been absolutely astonishing to me. And to watch the coalition grow and to watch the ongoing impact of all of these efforts. So watching you grow as a leader, and just for everyone who's listening, just know of the thousands, literally thousands of pro-life leaders, local, state, national, international, that I've worked with over more than 25 years on the front lines of the pro-life movement, what you have in Mark Cavaliere is something exceptional. Mark, you are one of the best leaders I've ever worked with, of anybody in any caliber. And I've worked with a lot of really impactful leaders. And so I'm very thankful for your leadership. But more importantly than that, and I know that with your great sense of humility, you would recognize this, it's who you've been blessed to serve during this season. The people in the local community in New Mexico and the El Paso area, and then watching even as collectively you've all captured this greater vision. It's not just a 40 Days for Life campaign. It's not just an ongoing prayer vigil, but we start adding in the mobile unit. We add in the Guiding Star. We add in the birthing centers. We add in this great team and this great board and all the people. I'm not going to start naming names, so I'll get in trouble for forgetting somebody. But truly, what all of you have, the person who's watching us or listening to us right now, you have one of the most impactful local and regional pro-life efforts anywhere, not only in America, but around the world. And I have been very blessed and honored to spotlight your work, keep coming back, as Mark mentioned, but also to keep spotlighting your work, various different national webcasts and podcasts and speaking and sharing, because what you are doing truly is setting the tide for where we're at. And Mark, if I can just keep rolling here, since 3 years ago, when the Dobbs decision was handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court, overturning Roe versus Wade, praise be to God for that victory. But then to recognize that when that abortion center that was at the heart of that case, Jackson Women's Health in Jackson, Mississippi, I prayed outside of that pink house many, many times over the years, when it closed down because of the laws in Mississippi that started to protect children and mothers, that abortion facility moved to your backyard, moved to Las Cruces. And when you asked me to come out there for that rally, when you announced that you had secured the property right next door, and we had hundreds of people gathered out there, that was to me a pivotal moment, because it said in post-Roe America, the Supreme Court didn't ban abortion. They didn't pass a national protection for human life. They simply said the decision is handed back to the American people through their elected officials in the states and in Congress. And right there in the Borderland region, on the border of Texas, a now much more protective state, New Mexico, a much less protective state, and the border where there's so much traffic flowing across, You are truly the epicenter of what abortion looks like and what the pro-life movement looks like in response in this post-Roe scenario. I found it profound. I'm going to share this, and you may have mentioned this, or maybe you've shared this elsewhere, but
I have not. You just told me about this recently. I didn't even realize it, and I have
okay.
not.
So is it okay? Can I share that here? Is that okay?
I suppose so. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm flying on a plane. I've been traveling. I'm actually right now in San Diego. I flew in from Kansas City today. I was like, Mark, I've got to be a part of this event. This is so huge. The big announcements. I know some of the big announcements, both now and those that will be announced at the galas. But I said, I've got to be on this. So I literally ran to my hotel room, and we're here in San Diego. So I'm just excited to be with you. But I was flying on a plane the other day, and I was reading a book written by 2 New York Times reporters, which is the definitive story of how Roe was overturned. So it goes behind the scenes and all the secret meetings and all the things that were going on the pro-abortion side and the pro-life side. And it really unpacks how Roe was overturned. And obviously it cites the prayers and efforts of people all around the country. Profoundly, on the last page, the last words of this book, the definitive guide to how Roe versus Wade was overturned, I'm going to read you these words. One day, not long after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling, Dobbs overturning Roe, several hundred anti-abortion activists fanned out over the parking lot to protest the new abortion clinic in the blazing early evening heat in Las Cruces. They set up an American flag, chairs, and sold crosses in memory of the unborn. There was a Republican state senator, a Catholic priest, and the director of the new pregnancy center, Mark Cavaliere, another one of the movement's many foot soldiers. He went to the microphone and looked beyond the crowd to the pink setting sun and said, if ever there was a place to respond to a challenge like we're facing, it's the city of the crosses. We've seen what God can do. And that is how the book ends, with the words of Mark Cavaliere and celebrating what God has done through all of you at the Southwest Coalition. And so the reason I share that with you is to help you understand what you are doing is pivotal to the rest of the nation. I don't live there. I have no bias. I'm telling you from an outsider standpoint, the rest of the country is talking about what you do. Why is this relevant? January of this year, I was asked to go to a secret meeting in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was about 40 of the top national pro-life leaders. It was organized by 2 people. One was a man named Leonard Leo, and Leonard was the architect of the current U.S. Supreme Court majority that overturned Roe versus Wade. He used to run the Federalist Society, and he was the one who gave Donald Trump the short list of nominees and then got them all confirmed to overturn Roe versus Wade. The other person was Professor Robert George, who's at Princeton University, a brilliant social conservative and pro-life scholar. Unbelievable. These 2 men called us leaders together in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we had this meeting, and the question they put on the table is, why is the pro-life movement losing more than we're winning in post-Roe America? And they went through the increase in abortions. They went through the explosion in the use of abortion pills. They talked about the border traffic going from places like Texas to places like New Mexico. They talked about all the ballot initiatives that we've lost on in different fights. And they said, why are we losing more than we're winning? And one of the guys in the room from a policy group in Washington, D.C., very well respected, he said, the elephant in the room is we're not collaborating. We're not talking to each other. We're not strategizing together. We're all in our individual silos doing good things. But the abortion industry, they're willing to work together to accomplish their agendas. We're not working together, and we need to be more strategic. We need to collaborate. We need to mobilize together. We need to work in a united fashion. And so from that discussion, there was a uniform agreement amongst all the leaders that there needed to be a new, brand new coalition, a groundbreaking coalition called the Life Leadership Conference. And the whole intent of this is to unite, to equip and empower and resource and to mobilize the pro-life movement together to achieve bigger wins than we can ever achieve individually. So in the midst of this discussion, as this was being set up, also there was a decision from philanthropists to put a $30 million pro-life venture fund together to invest into collaborative pro-life projects that can achieve these greater wins than any group can do on their own. And so as these conversations were happening, as this Life Leadership Conference was set up, I was very humbled to be asked to lead this organization, serve as the executive director, and very much was stunned to do this, but also to know that through the relationships that have been built across the movement, and the trust that we have for one another and the opportunity and the urgency of this moment, we need to do everything we can to accelerate and amplify the good of the pro-life movement. So as soon as this all started coming together and talking about where are the hot spots, where are the good things, obviously your work at the Southwest Coalition was at the center of so much of this discussion. And in the midst of this, I very quickly said, I've got to bring Mark Cavaliere to the table. He's got to be a part of these conversations. Even though some may not have known him as a national leader, he's one of the most impactful because of what all of you together have done and his leadership in that. So I began saying to Mark, how do we take what the Southwest Coalition is doing, and how do we take that momentum and create a ripple effect of momentum across America? Because the things that we were doing as a movement even 10 years ago are largely ineffective and less impactful than they were then. Some of them are still good, but we've got to think new and different, because we're not dealing with a federal landscape. We're dealing with a state-by-state landscape. We're dealing with the importance of focusing on regions and border areas. And we're focusing on how do we meet the needs of that woman right now who's in crisis, and how do we help her, and how do we protect the child that she's carrying? And there's no better example of that than what you're a part of at the Southwest Coalition. So I started asking Mark for advice and insights and guidance to help expand this. And, you know, just between us, I probably shouldn't even tell you this, Mark has been probably one of the most highly recruited people in the pro-life movement. I know many national organizations that have been trying aggressively for years to recruit him because they're watching what all of you have accomplished together, and they know Mark is a very capable leader. But as I was talking to Mark, this is something that he and I have envisioned and dreamed about for years, is what if the whole movement could do what you've done in the borderland region? What if we could get all these different facets working together? How if we got these different lanes all working together as one super highway? And as he and I were praying and talking about this, we started saying, what if we did this together? What if Mark and I were working to help groups be more strategic? What if we were helping to coordinate different efforts and find out where the gaps are? What if we were helping groups, local, state, national, regional, all to collaborate and work more effectively? What if we were able to help define effective messaging and deploy that across the country like you've done effectively in the borderland area? What if we were able to get even more philanthropic activation? Instead of $30 million, what if we could get $100 million flowing into the pro-life movement? Because there are many philanthropists sitting on the sidelines waiting for the kinds of solutions that you have right in your area. What if we mobilize the movement together for greater good? So in the process of this, as these conversations were happening, I want to credit, Mark, your stewardship of the organization that God has entrusted you with the leadership of for this last 10 years. Because for everyone listening, Mark asked, before we do anything and consider what all of this could mean, let's talk to our board at the Southwest Coalition. And he invited me onto one of the board calls. And the board asked a lot of really good, tough questions, because they were concerned not only how would this have an impact nationally, but also what would this mean to the Southwest Coalition if Mark were to take on a more active role on the national and international scene. And so we prayed through that. We worked through that, lots and lots of discussions. And I'm so excited to be announcing to you and to share with you that Mark has made the decision, has been invited, and is stepping into a new national leadership role, side by side, working with me at the Life Leadership Conference. And to do this, to amplify, to accelerate the entire movement, bringing all that you've done at the Southwest Coalition for Life, you, the person watching, you have done, and Mark has helped to coordinate, bringing that energy, bringing that momentum to the rest of the nation. I believe that this chapter will not only help the rest of the country experience the kinds of victories that Mark and others have been sharing over these last 10 years to see this ripple across the country, but also I know what's coming for the next chapter of the Southwest Coalition. I know the leadership developments that you're going to be hearing at the galas in December. The next chapter of Southwest Coalition is going to be the best chapter ever for your local and regional efforts. And you're going to have Mark taking your credibility, your impact all across the country. I could not be more excited. So yes, I will be at the 2 galas in December. I can't wait to see all of you there. Whatever you're doing, believe me, this is going to be so huge. You will not want to miss it. And we'll celebrate together. We'll see how this next chapter is going to evolve locally. You'll get a vision for how this is going to impact the entire movement nationally. And you're going to find out how those things that you're in part of, your time, your talent, your treasure, are impacting not only Las Cruces, El Paso, the borderland region, not only Texas and New Mexico, but literally are going to have an even more profound effect for the rest of America and the rest of the world. That is what's on the horizon, and I'm so excited to be with all of you on this journey. Mark, I'll turn it back to you. In case you can't tell, I am so stoked about this.
Well, I am excited. I mean, you hit every nail on the head, David, and thank you for helping me with this announcement. It is an emotional announcement for me. I don't know if I would have made it through. So it's one of those bittersweet things, but I cannot express to everyone how excited I am for not only this next chapter to take your story, to take your what you have done, and to share this story, to share this model. As even going back, I remember, like I mentioned, when that first abortion center closed in Las Cruces, and having a rally out on the sidewalk and saying, you know, I think God is doing something here. I think this is a spark that's going to ignite a flame, that this is going to be a beacon of hope for others. And so I feel this immense obligation to share that story and that model. But what I'm even more excited for, as I have shared with you over this past hour, that, you know, this 10-year vision that God called me into to bless me with the opportunity to be a part of, all the parts of it are done. Like, they're all here. And you know, it's like, okay, the maternity home's going, the Guiding Star centers are going, that we not just one, we got two of them. You know, our staff and our team is incredible. I'm just so humbled by the people who do this work and have made this vision a reality and continue to do this day after day. And we have an incredible leadership team that is not only incredibly strong, but with the board of directors, we have prayed. We have done lots of due diligence. This has been a conversation now for about 8 months in the making. We've been praying. We've been discerning carefully. We've been fasting. We've been going on retreats. We've been doing interviews. And so what you're going to learn in December at this 10-year gala is that this is not just a 10-year milestone. This is a passing of the torch. This is a new chapter that I know, I'm confident, is going to be bigger and more exciting and stronger than ever before. I was blessed to be able to be here to help lay this foundation, and I'm not going away. This is not a goodbye. I'll still be helping, you know, the board of directors. I still am going to be helping the local leadership team. You know, the local leadership team has already made me promise that I'll come back, you know, for events and things like that. So, but it is a changing of roles. And so I've been very grateful for all of you who've supported myself and my family in this role for the last 10 years. And through all of these prayers and interviews of our board of directors, I want everyone to know this was something they took very serious. It was not just like, you know, it's just going to default to someone who's, you know, kind of the next in line. No, like we this is an important mission. We really wanted to make sure this was right. So through lots of prayers and discernment, we have landed on an incredible leadership team that is made up of both, you know, seasoned veterans who know this mission inside and out, as well as, you know, some really new, exciting outside surprise people who are going to come in, who I think is going to really surprise folks and even make headlines. And, you know, we were in DC, David, and, you know, someone heard a little bit about what's coming with your friend Greg, and, you know, was really excited as well.
Can I just add something to that, Mark?
Of course.
So Greg is one of the top PR guys in America. He used to be the guy who was feeding information to Rush Limbaugh when Rush was on the air. He has shaped many national stories on both pro-life and social conservative issues, but also working for major corporations. Greg is one of the top PR guys. And Mark and I were telling him just a little bit about what's coming for the leadership transition in the borderland region. He was blown away, and he's like, that's national news. That's going to be absolutely huge. So that's what you're going to get the first taste of at these galas in December. You will not want to miss this.
Yes. So, you know, to answer an immediate question everyone's asking, you know, a few people have been brought into the know and saying, you know, are you going to be relocating? And the answer is yes. We have, through lots of prayer and discernment, my family will be moving closer to the DC area. But you know, I just think about how much we've had you in, and how much you know, our leadership team has already talked about bringing me back. And I just want to emphasize that I am so invested in the ongoing success of Southwest Coalition, and will not. This is just a changing of roles. It is not leaving this behind or anything like that. But just to highlight that a little bit more, you know, this is the foundation is laid. Even bigger things are coming. And we actually had one donor recently who learned about this next step, this next chapter, what this looks like with these new roles, this new leadership team. And they were so amazed. They made a $10,000 pledge of commitment. And when they came back and gave it to me, I said, oh, you made a typo. You got to redo the check. You added an extra zero. And they said, no. Like, I was so inspired and I'm so amazed by what's coming that I 10x'd my pledge from 10,000 to a record-breaking $100,000 pledge. And together, that $100,000 pledge, along with a few people who know what's has been part of this decision-making, part of this discernment, they have said this is one of the most mind-blowing, amazing thing that's happening. They have put together an incredible $250,000 matching challenge for the Southwest Coalition for Life. Never happened before, to double every dollar. Now, the incredible thing is, if you remember, I talked about how last year we took advantage of this El Paso Giving Day, and we made life the #1 cause in the borderland among 260 nonprofits by 4 times the amount. This year, we have the opportunity to do that again, to not only do that, but then to get more people aware of what's been happening over these last 10 years and invested in the next 10. So what that means is that El Paso Giving Day is October 16th, but they always start a week early with the early giving period. So starting at midnight tonight, okay, you can't donate yet, but starting at midnight tonight, in fact, the first nonprofit that gets a donation at midnight gets an extra $500 bonus as the first donation award. So stay up tonight. You can start at midnight tonight. Every dollar that's donated between midnight tonight and midnight October 16th is going to be doubled, dollar for dollar, up to $250,000 through the El Paso Giving Day. And as the people of the borderland, which the El Paso Giving Day, I wish they call it the Borderland Giving Day because it includes Doña County, New Mexico, and Otero County. But people are looking at all these charitable causes, and they're going to the websites, and they're looking at all of these different causes, and the top 10 in particular make it to the top of the chart. And people are clicking on those to say, I've never heard of this group before. What are they doing? Who should I give my money to this year? So by helping this, not only are you helping to double your investment into this mission, not only are you helping moms be heroes and helping lives and spreading this culture of life, not only are you guaranteeing the success and the continuity of care for this next chapter of the Southwest Coalition, but you are spreading the word. You are planting more seeds in the hearts and minds of the borderland as they continue to look at this. So, David, I just want to thank you for joining us. Do you have any closing thoughts or words here?
I mean, God is so good, and he has blessed the work that each of you have made possible. And I believe he's about to multiply it in a way that will blow all of our minds. And I believe the best days of the pro-life movement are right on the horizon. And I believe you're going to be right in the center of it. So not only be encouraged yourself to know what we're doing really matters. It's saving the lives of children made in God's image and likeness. It's protecting mothers from a life of regrets. It's protecting fathers and families, and it's strengthening the culture and the community locally. But what you are doing is going to have an effect that is going to touch hundreds of thousands and millions of lives. What you do matters. And so not only be encouraged, share that hope, that encouragement with others. And if I were to say anything between now and the events in December, get every person you know who cares about life, who cares about mothers, who cares about children, who cares about God, who cares about the culture and where we are heading as a people. Come out together. We're going to celebrate what God has done, what he is doing, and we are going to look forward with great hope and joy for what is about to happen. And you're going to be a part of changing the very course of American history and world history. I can't wait to be a part of it with all of you. And Mark, I can't tell you how excited I am to be working so closely with you and to your entire board and team and everyone else. Thank you for your trust in realizing that God has given you this opportunity, but also an obligation to take the blessings that you've received, and to whom much is given, much is required, to share that with the rest of the nation and the world. And together, we're going to make abortion unavailable, unthinkable, unwanted. And we're going to glorify God in the process and build his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven.
Amen. David, thank you so much. And I would be remiss if I just did not add that, all those 10 years ago when I first saw you on DVD to explaining the 40 Days for Life, I remember thinking, like, that would be the coolest thing ever to work with this guy. And here we are 10 years later. So thank you for everything you've done to be a part of this. And just once again, folks, I just want to just thank you all and just hope that you are as excited as I am and as confident as I am, as our board of directors are in this next chapter. And just the fact that we've had already those 10x commitments, a record-breaking matching challenge put forward by people who know what's in store. You definitely don't want to miss this 10-year milestone passing of the torch gala. I'm excited to be there with David and with Mayra, who we showed earlier, and just so many of our incredible team. One thing too is that this 10-year gala, let me pull up this. If you do not already have the dates, this is Wednesday, December 10th at the El Paso Starlight Event Center, and then the December 11th on a Thursday at the Las Cruces Convention Center. By making your gift this week through El Paso Giving Day, we are going to credit your gift towards your spot at the gala. So make sure you are aware of that. And if you are looking at this webcast page currently, I paused the video here so I'm not repeating it back to myself. But if you scroll down, you should now be able to see this information about this record-breaking $250,000 matching challenge. There's a button here to double your impact through El Paso Giving Day. Again, it starts at midnight tonight. So if you try to do it right now, it's not going to let you. But after midnight and all of this next week, you'll be able to instantly double your gift. If you want to do it by check, then there is an address here. One important thing is how you write the check has to be made out to the Paso del Norte Community Foundation with a minimal line that says EPGD 2025 SWC for Southwest Coalition, and it has to be in their office by October 18th. So you can mail that to this address here. It'll go straight to them, and we will get 100% of every gift that's made. When you go to this El Paso Giving Day page, if you go to their main page, you're going to see where we're ranking, throughout the week amongst all these other causes and nonprofits. But here's where you will be able to. There's this video that some of you are asking about in the chats that you'll be able to share, and the gifts that you will be able to make right now says can't do it until 12 a.m. tonight. So, folks, thank you so much. I am so very just humbled, so very blessed, so excited. And I just truly thank each and every one of you for all of your prayers, your support that has made this major next step possible to bless not only myself and my family, but hopefully through the work that you've done, more of the pro-life movement to help moms and babies, to help moms be heroes across the nation. That this concludes our From Vision to Victory webcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. May God bless you and your families always. And I cannot wait to see you as we begin this next chapter together in December. God bless.